Thank you very much for your words. I feel them deeply, having been a citizen of this country for decades and decades and decades. Mm-hmm. And now the floor is to the next speaker, Oezcan Mutlu, from the Bundestag in Germany. Alles sicher? Fertig? Fertig. Bitte schön.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to focus a little bit on my own country and give you some figures, because violence, extremist violence has different faces. So it's not only religious extremism. We have different kinds of extremism all over Europe. Mrs. Comey addressed to it a little bit, and I would like to give you some figures from Germany. We have, for instance, last year we had 130 arson attacks on refugee shelters. We had 15,000 right-wing extremism in our country. This is something we have to focus on, because the more that happens, the more it has a reaction. Reaction like people who are under pressure, people who are under attack, people who are not who are attacked from this right-wing extremist violence in our country do the same, and they react. They react with different kind of extremism. It's religious extremism. In last years we got the numbers that approximately 600 foreign fighters are fighting in Syria who are from Germany. So there are a lot of foreign fighters fighting on the side of Daesh in Syria from Europe. Mostly these youngsters born in Germany, raised up in Germany, went to schools in Germany, and as soon as they're 17, 18 or 19, they all of a sudden decide to enter a plane, fly to Ankara or Istanbul, and then move towards the Syrian border. So this is, of course, a big problem for any society. And if we look what are the reasons for that, of course, we have to blame the families, we have to blame the places they have visited, for instance, all these Salafi mosques they have been in or something like that. But we have to blame ourselves as well, because they went to schools in our country for many, many years, and somehow we didn't succeed to give them our values which are universal human rights. So you shall not kill someone else because of religious reasons, or because he is a non-believer, or whatsoever. So therefore, in this manner, I believe that schools and education, to break it down to this issue, is the key. It's very, very important. So how can we change our schools? How can we change our curriculums, that everybody, the one who is on the right-wing side as well as the one who is at the Salafi side or a religious extremist side, can somehow be taught in a way that he will accept not only our universal values, he will live it. So he will also be a role model for his own children, for his own society, and so on. So that is a big task for the schools. It's a big task for teachers, for educators. We have to maybe change our educational system totally in all over Europe these days, to open our societies, to change our educational system to an inclusive system which respects intercultural backgrounds, which respects different religious, different languages and different cultures. Why is that important? Because if we don't do that, if we exclude minorities, wherever they come from, which religion they belong to, if we exclude them, others will come and tell them some stories they believe in, because somebody who's excluded from the majority one day will maybe ask for change. And the change someone gives them is, for instance, religious extremism or right-wing extremism, which our country is facing. But educational reforms cost a lot of money. In this booklet, for instance, from UNESCO, and we heard Frau Bokova before at the beginning as a keynote speaker. All these suggestions UNESCO made are not only the right suggestions, they are the ones we have to implement in our school system everywhere, in every country. But that costs a lot of money. Teacher training costs a lot of money. Changing teacher training is also very costly. Changing curriculum, changing the books. Exclusion is also in textbooks. And the way we teach. To give you one anecdote, I was in Germany in school. I'm from Turkey originally. When I was in high school, we had history lessons. And in history, we also talked about the Crusades, of course. But in this history lessons, regardless that 80 to 90% of the students in the classroom were Muslims, we were talked about the Crusades like they did something to the Middle East which was positive. Right? Richard Lionheart was not a badly killer and a crusader, he was a great guy. So imagine the kids sitting in this classroom having a Muslim background and listening to these stories of the crusaders. So this is something which shows us how deeply we are in need for reform of our textbooks, of our teacher training, and how desperately we do need open our schools, open our minds, and change the mindset. And this is something which is not only for the minorities, it is also very important for the majority. If we do intercultural education, intercultural teachings in school, no one will feel excluded, and the kids who belong to the majority won't be afraid from the other kids who have a different religion or who do believe to a different God. So therefore, more money for education, a different kind of textbooks. We have to reform our textbook. We have to reform our teacher training, and all that costs money. And to give you another example, if you look at our budgets in your countries, how much is spent for military and how much is spent for education. So this is something we have to fix. We have to put more money into education than into military spendings, and then we will have maybe the chance in future to change something. Otherwise, a guy like Huntington will sooner or later because of all these cultural clashes, will be right, and nobody here in the room wants him to be right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker on my list is a member of the Parliament of Morocco, Mrs. Jalila Mosli. Fada, s'il vous plaît.